Well, good evening and welcome to this webinar, which has been organised by WISE, which is the Women's Initiative for Stroke in Europe. Thank you very much for joining. I'm Joanna Wardlaw, I'm based in the UK. The purpose of the webinar is to provide an opportunity to empower stroke clinicians and researchers to realise their full potential for future benefit of care of stroke patients in Europe, and particularly those less well represented groups such as women and minority nationalities. Get your voice on the platform. It's meant to be an informal sort of drop-in session where you can ask questions and also give feedback to ESO about what you might find particularly helpful. So please feel free to put comments in the Q&A. It's slightly experimental. If this webinar is found to be helpful, then WISE will try and run this once or twice or 2 or 3 times a year, in addition to things that are happening already. It's supported by an unrestricted educational grant from Medtronic. So thank you very much to Medtronic. Before I hand over to the co-chairs of WISE, I would just like to introduce the other people who are participating. So first of all, Louisa Christensen and Marie-Louise Zeddy are the co-chairs of WISE. And we also have 2 speakers, Miriam Helder from Switzerland and Elsa Sanset from Norway. And then we have a panel of very experienced people, including Christine Kramer, who initiated WISE from Sweden, Peter Kelly, the current president of ESO from Ireland, Urs Fischer, former treasurer of ESO from Switzerland, Nera Mazic from Bosnia, Ariana Lorvencic from Croatia, and myself. So wide representation. So at this point, I would like to remind everybody to please put comments and questions in the Q&A, and then we can pick them up during the panel discussion. And I would very much like to hand over to Louisa Christensen to say a few words about WISE and introduce the rest of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Yes, as Joanna said, I'd like to welcome everyone. It's so nice to see so many of you taking the time to join us for this first workshop webinar within WISE on this specific topic. Naturally, we have made webinars before, and I'd like to take a brief opportunity just to tell you a little bit about the WISE group and the WISE work that we do, because over the years since its beginning, WISE group has worked towards a more structured organization, and part of it is actually establishing these workshops on different topics, trying to get an idea of how we can better help minorities or in improving different areas and aspects of stroke research and practice on many different levels. Also, we have established different working groups within the WISE group with different focus, from statistical review projects to discussing future mentoring programs, that is. So just to let you know that we are a working project, and we would love to hear from each and every one of you interested in joining our group. And I don't know, Joanna, I would like to get us started with the talks. Can I see the next slide with the program? Oh, there it is. We are going to hear from Miriam Heldner and Elsa Charlotte Sanset to give us some talks about opportunities, career inspiration, and a lot of other interesting topics. After that, we will move on to an interactive discussion with Q&As from you and a discussion from the panelists. But we would also encourage you, all of you, to give us feedback and input during the session. Please put your questions in the Q&A for us to have as much debate as possible. And Maria Luisa, I'm going to hand over the mic to you for the presentation of the next of our speakers. There you are. Hi, Maria.
Hi. Thanks to Joanna for organizing this workshop. This is purely in the spirit of WISE, and we have two very passionate members of WISE with us, Miriam Eldner and Else Sunset. And we start with Miriam Eldner, Professor of Neurology and Stroke in the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Bern. And she will talk about the current landscape in opportunities and roadblocks to career progression. So, Miriam.
Yes, so let me share my screen. One moment. Excuse me, somehow, now it should work. Yes. So welcome to this webinar. Let's start with the introduction. As strokeologists, we play a crucial role in advancing stroke care and research, facing both opportunities and roadblocks. Today, we'll explore the pathways to success and strategies to overcome challenges, empowering each of us to navigate our careers effectively in the landscape of strokeology. So career advancement includes developing skills, increased responsibilities, fulfillment from achieving goals, rewards and recognition. Let us have a look at the landscape of opportunities. I strongly recommend applying for specialized training programs such as European Stroke Master Program, ESO Summer and Winter Schools, and many others, some of which are listed here. These programs provide a structured way to improve skills, stay up to date with the latest advances in stroke care, and promote continuous professional development and networking opportunities. Furthermore, participate at stroke conferences. This deepens expertise in the stroke field and promotes networking and communication skills. Also, there are regular ESO webinars, as this one, and the ESO Stroke Education Platform, which gathers all available stroke-related educational content in one place and provides a single comprehensive resource for members of ESO to develop knowledge and understanding in all areas of stroke. Moreover, aim for collaboration with researchers, institutions, and healthcare professionals. This provides a platform for sharing insights and expanding your network. This can open doors to collaborative projects, conferences, and international recognition. Also, do join networking groups and support organizations in the medical field, such as Women in Stroke in Europe. They can provide a platform for connecting with fellow female professionals, sharing experiences, and offering mentorship opportunities. In our Department of Neurology at the University of Bern, a peer-to-peer networking group called Connecting Women in Neurosciences was initiated by 2 female neurology residents to identify challenges and support each other. We have recently published a position paper on this initiative, and if you are interested, have a read. Moreover, be aware that female stroke-ologists can play a crucial role in advocating for women's health issues, including those related to neurological conditions and stroke. This advocacy work not only contributes to patient care, but also establishes women as leaders in addressing specific healthcare challenges. Also, take advantage of the growing emphasis on patient-centered care. Building strong patient-doctor relationships not only contributes to improved patient care, but can also positively impact your career progression, providing valuable insights and ideas for research questions. There are other opportunities which I would like to mention. Go for a fellowship abroad if you have the opportunity. It provides exposure to a different culture, healthcare system, and research environment. It broadens perspectives, fosters international collaborations, and allows for the exchange of knowledge and expertise. Also, at some point, you will become a leader and mentor yourself. Assuming leadership and mentoring roles within your professional or academic setting demonstrates your ability to guide and inspire others. It showcases leadership skills, promotes teamwork, and contributes to the development of your field by teaching the next generation of professionals. Also, do participate in committees if you can, as it allows you to actively contribute to decision-making processes. It provides an opportunity to influence policies, share insights, and collaborate with colleagues to address important issues or implement positive changes. And last but not least, do perform reviews if you get an invitation. Serving as a reviewer is crucial for maintaining and advancing the quality of research. It allows you to stay current with the latest developments, contribute to the peer review process, and share your expertise to enhance the overall quality of academic publications. Now let's come to some roadblocks and how to overcome them. There is a growing acknowledgement of the need for work-life balance. More and more institutions offer supportive policies such as flexible work hours and family-friendly initiatives, and provide women and men with the opportunity to effectively balance their professional and personal lives. However, a culture shift is still needed in many places, but engaging in open dialogues can be helpful. I give you an example. At our Department of Neurology in Bern, there was no doctor allowed to work part-time 10 years ago, but by now, thanks to 2 persistent women, more than 40% of all work part-time. Another topic I wish to address is the following. The availability of mentors and role models in the field may vary. A mentor is actively involved in guiding and supporting a person's development through interaction directly, while the role model serves as an inspiration through observation and imitation. A mentor provides personalized advice, feedback, and support, whereas a role model's impact is often more indirect and based on admiration for qualities or achievements. So probably a mentorship is more important. Establishing mentorship relationships can be challenging, but seeking guidance from experienced professionals is invaluable for career growth. So go and look for a mentor, or even better, for several ones. You might find them at your working place and/or among ESO members, which you can always contact by email. Also, I wish to mention that there is a glass ceiling. So at our University Department of Neurology in Bern, the potential presence of a glass ceiling is evident if you look at this photo. A glass ceiling is defined as an unseen barrier that hinders the career advancement of women and minorities due to biases and potentially also sometimes unfair practices. This obstacle limits the access to leadership roles, impacting diversity and equal opportunities at work. So globally, female and minority stroke-ologists continue to be underrepresented in top positions. However, times are changing and people can break through the glass ceiling by showing qualities such as determination, perseverance, self-confidence, strategic thinking, teamwork, and effective communication. Then there are the gender biases. Despite progress, they are still prevalent in the stroke field. There is the persistent gender pay gap, where women often earn less for the same work. Gender stereotypes can lead to biased expectations about individual capabilities or preferences based on gender. For example, assuming that women are more nurturing or men are more assertive can influence hiring decisions and career opportunities. Women may face challenges in accessing leadership roles or being promoted, sometimes due to biases that assume men are more suitable for leadership positions. Traditional gender roles can influence how parental leave is perceived and allocated. Subtle, often unintentional comments or behaviors can contribute to gender bias. This might include making assumptions about a person's abilities based on gender or using language that reinforces traditional gender roles. Different standards or expectations for behavior based on gender can be a form of bias. For instance, assertive behavior in men might be praised as leadership qualities, while women displaying the same traits may be labeled as aggressive. Also, gender bias can affect educational opportunities. Fewer women are co-authors or first senior authors in high-ranking journal publications, and even at earlier career stages, women receive lower grant amounts and protected research time than men. As a woman, you can overcome gender biases by cultivating self-awareness, staying informed, asserting yourself, building supportive networks, continuously developing skills, seeking mentorship, seeking also feedback, advocating for equality, maintaining confidence, and collaborating to challenge and change biases collectively. Another point is that as the stroke field evolves and your career progresses, the job market can become competitive. Continuous professional development, networking, and acquiring diverse skills can help female strokologists stand out in a competitive environment. To conclude this presentation, I would also like to briefly mention the so-called iceberg illusion. Please be aware that in a context of success, observers often only see the top of the iceberg, such as awards and promotions. However, frequently only extensive and continuous effort and dedication and overcoming roadblocks are part of the whole picture. So every successful person faces struggles and challenges. To conclude, please find here some keys to success based on literature, but also on my personal view. Set your goals, seek education, develop your skills, network, look out for mentors, be persistent, dedicated, curious, and resilient. And with this collage called The Strong Man by Hannah Höch, I would like to close this talk. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Miriam. If you have any questions, please type in the Q&A for us to address them. Briefly, I would just like to thank you for this lovely overview. It's very inspiring, but also quite a lot of places to go and seek more to improve your career. It looks quite simple. Where did you find the biggest difficulty, the biggest roadblock personally, Miriam, if you can share? I mean, it all sounds great. If we could just tick out everything, we would be sure to be on top of the glass ceiling. What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, the biggest challenge was so far being a woman, I guess, really.
Yeah. And but there is no way overcoming that. I was wondering where do you have any experience? Say that was one of the things that helped me the most.
So mentioning what you notice and making the people, the mentors around you aware of what you notice. Sometimes you might be wrong also with your observation because it's your personal viewpoint. Then it helps well, to adjust the viewpoint you have. but I think that is important to be like attentive and mention what you notice.
And it appears to me that that we just have to get out there as junior residents or researchers and start approaching people, because I mean, you didn't start off with this huge network, and I was wondering whether it was your ESOC membership or whether it was your local community who showed you the way when you first started.
Was this to me, Louisa? Yeah.
Yes,
No,
yes,
I
yes.
think I would say I would say the international community has perhaps been has been more important for me in my career than my more local community, and I have to be that honest.
So by that you mean summer school 2011 when we were together, when you met me the first time, right?
For example,
yeah.
the summer school in 2010, Elisa.
10, sorry.
That was an important. That was an important introduction to I would say that to meeting equal-minded people who are enthusiastic about stroke research in a way I had not met, that I did not necessarily meet among the residents in my hospital. We met some of them, but not all, of course. I would also say after this summer school, I met Urs at the conference in Hamburg in 2011. And I realized that Urs, you were young then, Urs.
Thank you.
And Urs, I realized that he was a bit enthusiastic about young initiatives for young stroke physicians and researchers. And after that conference, I started emailing him with Urs, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? I think he might have found me, who's the strange person emailing me about all these initiatives, but I was quite proactive, and I got the sense that we could work together to get some initiatives going and so on. So I would say definitely super inspired by the summer school in 2010, and the kind of that got me into ESO. So
yes, thank you, Joanna.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks very much. I mean, we've had a number of questions, and there's a sort of theme around mentorship, you know, having pathfinders, if you like. There was one question which I think Urs would be particularly useful if you could comment on, and that's about time frame. And when is it a good time? Because I think a lot of people have different pressures on their training, their family, their aspirations. What's your view about optimal timing and how people should plan things?
Thank you very much. I think that's an extremely important question. And I think a lot of young people who want to pursue an academic career, they often think, well, it's probably good to first do my residency. And then if I do my residency, then I will start with research. And I think I would strongly recommend, if you are passionate about research, then please start early and do the opposite. I think that is extremely important, that after medical school, if you know that research is something which you're interested in, then try to combine clinical work and research. I know that it's not possible everywhere, but for instance, at the University of Bern, that was one of the main reasons. I would have loved to do a PhD, but in Bern, doing a PhD meant at that time going 3 years away from clinic and doing PhD work. So what we now established, we established a PhD program in clinical research where you can combine 50% clinic with 50% research for 4 years. And so you're doing 2 years of clinical work and 2 years research. And that helps you to start immediately with your research projects. And then you can continue during your residency. So my advice is try to do it early because then if you finish your PhD, you are also eligible for academic positions, and you then still have time for family planning. And this applies not only for female, but also for males.
Can I follow up with that? Thanks very much. I mean, obviously, opportunities will be different in different parts of, well, different parts of the world, different parts of Europe. Nejra, you had a question around ways in which, I mean, these are all going to have to be sort of light touch approaches because everybody's busy. You've got to try and fit something extra in. You've got to try and have a way of doing it that doesn't displace too many other things. But I think you're keen on trying to get some stronger mentorship program or ways in which people could have some way of getting a bit of advice, just, you know, informal. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, because I come from a system where I work in an institution that has really rigid political system still. And for example, I cannot have any free days for education. I hope that will change soon. But I did the D2D ESO program in Innsbruck, Austria in June, and I had to use my vacation days. We don't have any, not any, but very few mentors available here because people are a lot more included in politics than in research. And for example, neurology in Bosnia is more into multiple sclerosis and the clinical studies about it, not so much in stroke. So there are not many people who you can ask for advice, who can lead you. That is why I think that a more formal mentorship program would be great. So you can apply for it, for example, and have this one person or two, or I don't know who will lead you through the whole research and practice update process.
Okay. I don't want to hog this, but I wonder if I could go to Peter and see your thoughts, because as you're president at the moment, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, thanks very much. First of all, I thought the two talks were fantastic and really inspiring, and I got a lot from them. But just in relation to the specific comments raised there by Nejra, so just this year, exactly in response to the kind of things that you're describing, Nejra, we with very much with Elsa's help, I would say, and also with the help of Alistair Webb, who we must acknowledge, we launched a thing called the Emerging Leader Program within ESO. And the aim of that was to try to support young career physicians, male and female, but with a particular focus on colleagues in Central and Eastern Europe, where the pathways are not so developed as they might be perhaps in some other countries. So the idea there is that, first of all, ESO will provide support, financial support. Secondly, that there is a required number of courses and educational opportunities that must be completed as part of the work. And again, ESO, does things like waives the fees for these things, so to make it financially more viable for people to attend. Thirdly, there's a project. So this can be, in some countries, it's simply not possible to do a research project in your home hospital because perhaps the supports are not there around. But it's usually possible to do a quality improvement project or an audit type project. And then thanks to Elsa and Alistair, we have this concept called returning the learning, where the program is the Emerging Leader Program. So we're building and while providing mentorship, and I should say that there are formal mentors who will be assigned to the successful candidates in this program. We're building the leaders of tomorrow, right? So we want them to get experience in taking the lead in some capacity in their home hospital or in their home country. So maybe that's organizing a conference, maybe that's organizing a peer group, a support group, a subgroup of WISE perhaps in your home country, whatever it might be. But what we're really trying to do here is encourage and support people with to become more involved in ESO and to train up to be tomorrow's leaders and to proactively enable them to do that. So this year we have 3 successful candidates, which we beat our plan by one candidate. So that's a 50% better than we expected, but we expect the program to expand next year. And we really encourage people on the call and people on the panel, if they're interested, to apply for that. It's looking really good.
Thank you, Peter. Elsa, you had a comment.
Yes, and I think the initiatives of ESO now, with the focus on this are great. But it's, I think, to some, it feels a bit unachievable to get. How do I get into that program? And I would have to say the competition was quite strong. So it's something. How do you? And I think Neira, you touched on an important point. How do I get someone to help me to seek advice from? Before I'm at that level, who can help me reach that level? And I think that's where if you're at the conference, but then you have to be at the conference. If you're at the winter school, if you're at the summer school, and you talk to someone, I think all of these events have, especially the summer, winter school, and the Edinburgh workshop, have social events. If you see someone there that you think, "Ooh, I quite I liked what you said. I liked your I kind of feel a connection, or think you would be, oh, I would like to get to know you a bit better." Don't be afraid to follow that up with an email after. Worst thing that can happen is that you don't get a response. That is the absolute worst thing that can happen. But the person you sent that email to, if that person doesn't respond, that person won't even remember that that person didn't respond, because that might be a period where you're just too busy that you don't respond to nearly anything. But it's still, I think everyone in our community is actually quite positive and would be quite supportive if you have someone sending you an email saying, "Hi, my name is this and this. I met you at the winter school. I would like to hear your view on how I can progress my career," or something. Could we meet? Could we have a Zoom call? And I think we should be open and not necessarily only look for the formalized mentorship, but the more informal as well, that can be established through these things, through that type of an interaction. So I think that would be my advice before you get to the level of a lot of the more formalized initiatives. Try to find someone that you see at the meeting or so on, and kind of, I would not say latch onto, because that sounds a bit negative, but contact and see if that person could help you in some way.
And I can also add, Elsa, that within the WISE group, apart from the seminars that have been held during previous ESOCs, we also have meetings and cocktails in order to make people meet up, and that is a nice informal way to meet the group of people within ESOC. It is naturally in connection with the ESOC conference, but WISE is a tremendously genius place for networking, both in a social event, but also in formalized meetings where we would discuss it. And naturally, within the WISE, it is our hope and dream that we will have a structured mentorship program at some point. Right now, we're just a lot of researchers and physicians and vice versa, and double working people who are very eager to promote this and to become mentors as well. So please do reach out to us whenever you have an idea or you just need the connections. Definitely. Joanna, you have a question, or
actually, I think Urs had his hand up first.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
I have 3 short, concrete suggestions
Cool.
to WISE. So, number 1, we should have speed dating webinars. And please don't misunderstand me as a male here in this webinar. I really think we should have this type of webinars where people can just simply liaise with one of the mentors. Second, we should have a list of people who are willing to give information on the list on the ESO website. So for instance, I'm more than happy to give advices. So you can put my email there and people can ask people for advice. And then third, we could have a consultation hour, you know, every last Friday of the month, where we have 1 hour time slot where people just simply can log in and there is a senior person there and give some personal advice, because what you have said is all great, but there are some people who cannot afford to go to the ESO conference. There are people who cannot afford to go to different places. So for them, this would be an ideal option to liaise electronically or with a webinar to these people. That's all.
Yeah, if I could just complement that. One of the initial thoughts about this webinar was that it would just be somewhere where one of us would be available and people could just ask questions. And then we thought, actually, to start with, it would make more sense to have a slightly more structured one like this, but then roll it out so that there would be ways in which people could ask questions more easily and not just have to wait for the conference every year. I think it's really important that you know, we have a ESO WISE subcommittee, which is about mentorship and scientific and academic coaching. And any one of the 10 or so people, of whom 3 of them are on this call, in addition to the others who've spoken, would be very willing to answer questions by email. I would really encourage anybody who's interested to go on the ESO website to you can join ESO and you can express your interest through the ESO information inbox. And then it means that, or if you know somebody who's already in WISE, you can contact them and get on the mailing list. And once you're on the mailing list, it means that you're more likely to get picked for things like chairing, for speaking at conferences, for hearing about opportunities. It just helps with all of those things. Oh, you're muted.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Definitely right, Joanna. And it's quite simple the way, and even though how the WISE group is organized, you can come and you can tell us about your areas of interest and your strength, and we use that because it's a great network within the ESO community. So it can be a stepping stone for many. Susanna, you raised your hand.
Yes, I agree with Urs. I think that these online contacts will be very useful because for some people from East Europe, it's not so easy to go somewhere because still there are financial problems. Thanks to Urs, they can apply for grants, and he support East European researchers or doctors in stroke masterclass and other activities. But I think if they will meet people online, then they will easier apply for the grants and want to go forward in their activities. So I think it's a very good idea, and it is without money. Yeah. Of course, also with money can apply for the grants. And what I am surprised that in our country there speaking about the activities of ESO or EAN, and people don't want to apply for grants. Maybe sometimes they are afraid to go there because they have problem with the language, and I think that it is not so big problem, but maybe they don't feel so strong in English language. And it is also one problem. When I was younger, we have no these possibilities, and I went and I started with my activity, and at the end I improved in English. Still I am not very good, but I try to do my best, and I think that without it they will not move on, but they can start with online and then continue.
Yes, it's a good point. You, Joanna, go, please.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm conscious of time. We've got a minute left. I would just want to encourage people to go to contact ESO, to be part of the ESO community. I think it's the friendliest, most helpful, most positive grouping that I've ever had the the pleasure of interacting with, and it has been responsible for some of the biggest advances in stroke care in the world in the last 30 years. And, you know, we should be really proud of that. And that's because everybody was constructive and they worked together, and anybody can be part of it. It's very multidisciplinary. It's for all different professions and researchers involved in any aspect of stroke research. So please don't feel that it's all aimed at clinicians or anything like that. It's very much open to anybody who's interested. I don't know whether this is about to close off and whether we have to go to the
last slide, probably. Yeah. Yes. As for, yeah, probably, unless we're cut off at the second. But Maria Luisa and I would like to thank everyone for participating. It's been very inspiring, and I hope it's given you a lot of great ideas how to move forward in your personal careers as well. Can I have the next slide? Yes, and just for as a little Christmas card, we would just remind you that the three wise women, they would have asked for directions, arrived on time, delivered the baby, cleaned the stable, and made a casserole. And there would have been peace on earth, of course. We would like to wish you a peaceful, prosperous, and productive 2024. And I think, yes, at the bottom here, we've just added our info mail. So if you're wondering and you need an urgent, is there's an urgent need to reach out for us, you can reach out to us individually, or you can write via the ESO website using ESO info, for instance. That goes for questions about ESO, but also about the WISE group if you need to get in touch.